Welcome to the Storage Cupboard. Once again, our interview today is with Jordan Brennan. Jordan, hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm alright, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. And thanks very much for joining us. As everybody can see from the branding around you, you're in the Liquid Molly car. So how did that
Yeah.
come about?
My dad's done a lot of work with them in British touring cars, and I've just put it on the car.
They're getting good value for money from you, aren't they, from the e-racing series, because you twice on the podium now. And tell us about your journey in the e-racing, because I think from the second round onwards, you were really hitting the top 10. You've had two podiums thus far, but you're not a seasoned sim racer, are you? Tell us a little bit about your history in racing and then how you've moved into sims.
I've not really done any racing, really. I've just done the odd karting events now and then, just for fun. I've won got a few trophies. And sim racing, I did one sim championship on Project Cars, probably in 2015. Never finished it because of school and college around the time. But other than that, this is my first full season in any sim racing.
And it's a fantastic achievement, and I guess a great opportunity for you to be racing in the official Mini Challenge E series with the likes of Max Coates up at the sharp end, Luke Kidsley, of course, who's a championship winner from other championships, and then you've got the likes of Dave Marshall, Tobin Lee, and all these really good sim racers, and you're up there mixing it with them on the podium. So, full respect to yourself. And how does that feel?
Yeah, it feels good. I was on with Dave Marshall last night practicing for this weekend, and he's struggling to keep up with me. So it's looking good for this weekend.
It's Knock Hill, isn't it, this weekend? So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, there's a family connection, isn't there, with Knock Hill? So can you explain a little bit about your background in terms of how you've got involved with motor racing, your family got involved with motor racing going back?
My dad used to race MG Metros in MG Owners Club, late 80s, early 90s, I think. So it was before I was born, so I never got to see it, unfortunately. But I think you've got to follow with that. But yeah, that was when my dad started. And then from when I was born, I've just followed Dave Newsham through Legends and then into Clios and into touring cars. And I've spent a lot of time there.
How did you hook up with the Newshams? Because I think you're based in Preston. Were you based in Preston then, or were you in Scotland where Dave is in Inverness? Or
Well, Dave lived in Leyland originally. Well, he was from Wales, then moved into Leyland. And then my mum was friends with Jackie, Dave's wife,
okay.
and they've known each other since they were teenagers. So that's how we met them.
Dave's a great peddler, isn't he? And not a lot of people know that he was, I think he was a speedway rider as well before he went into Legends. So I guess as a bike rider, he had that feel for car control. And whatever he's done, he's won in, isn't he? Whether it was the Legends cars, I think Scottish champion, national champion, into Clios where he dominated. So a good mentor for you.
Yeah, it was all right. not really had any driver coaching off him yet, but we'll see.
He probably owes you a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, the amount of times I've been to touring car rounds and Legends.
And I guess you've probably sort of grown up then with Callum.
Yeah, for as long as I can remember, I've known Callum. Just every weekend. Well, it was almost every weekend with Legends and racing and stuff, just meeting up with them all.
And in terms of all the formulas that you've seen race, what would you say was your favourite, and what would you aspire to if you had the budget and the chance to go racing for real on track in something?
For me, I'd love to do the minis in real life. It would be great, but obviously I don't have the money for that. But for me, my favourite ones to watch were Legends. They're just so fun, so close. The cars are great, cheap as well. I mean, I'd love to do that. Just have a round in that would be fun.
So we're looking at trying to get you back on the podium again this weekend at Knock Hill. And I made the reference to Knock Hill, obviously Dave being the Scottish champion going back before he moved on to the national Legends. It's almost that ladder, isn't it, with Legends racing, where you can do the Scottish championship and then move up into the nationals, which Dave did. So how familiar are you with the Knock Hill layout? You were saying that Dave Marshall, the championship leader of the E-Series, is following you at the moment.
Yeah. I don't really know too much of it. I've just only driven around it on Project Cars, and this. So I've not done too many laps around it, but I haven't been to Knockhill for years, so I know what the track looks like. Walked around it a lot. But yeah.
And coming back to eSeries, tell us a little about your rig and your setup there, because I know a lot of people that are watching our programs are quite keen to know what sort of equipment people are using. So talk us through what you've got.
So I have a Thrustmaster T300 RS wheelbase. It's pretty mediocre. It's not brill, but it's not the worst. But for what I need it for, it's all right. And wheel stand, I've got a GTO Omega wheel stand. Not fixed to the seat. The seat's just a desk chair, so it's not the best, but I'm working with what I've got. And then I've got a Thrustmaster TH80, I think, called shifter, but I've got it in sequential, so just up and down the gears. And I've got T3PA Pro pedals, which I'm struggling at the minute. Well, at the start of the round, start of the season, I was struggling to get a nice feel on them, and I've just been playing around with the settings in game, and I think that's where I found the pace.
Was that between rounds 1 and 2? Because that's when round 2 was when you really hit the top 10.
Yeah, well, round 1, I'd literally, I think the pedals arrived the morning for that race.
Right.
So it was literally just plug in and go. But since I had a few things set up wrong for the first round and it just didn't go so well. And then after that, I've just been playing with them and just found their sweet spot.
And in the sim standings, you're in 5th position in the championships. You're actually in the prize bit of it. That must be good, given your lack of experience really in sim racing.
Yeah, it's great. Especially looking at what other people have done as well, to be where I am at the minute. So I'm hoping I can get some good points this weekend. Be a little bit higher up on podium as well.
That'd be good to see. You've had 2 P2s at the moment, and one of the things that we've been talking about in the championship is trying to make it as real world as possible. You know, on the slowing down lap, you have to do the lap rather than switch off, and it extends to other things like having Andy Ringland as clerk of the course. Have you had any chats with Andy at all?
We have a driver briefing before every race meeting, and he'll just, if he has any concerns or anything, he raises it with everyone.
It is very much, isn't it, like the real world, because you have a driver briefing at a real world meeting as well.
Yeah, so every weekend.
That's a good way for you guys to get a little bit of familiarity with what happens in that environment.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, last couple of weekends coming up, Brands Hatch Grand Prix next weekend, Knockhill this weekend. What are your aims really for the last 2 events?
Well, if practice is anything to go by for Knockhill, I'm hoping for a pole in qualifying in both of them if I can. And in the race convert that into wins. But from what I found yesterday with Dave Marshall when we were practicing, it's very tricky to follow people around Knockhill. So I think qualifying is going to be key, and reverse grid is going to be difficult. With Brands GP, I've not done much of Brands GP. Not been around there in this car, so I'll just have to get a lot of practice in and see what I can do around there.
It's a mega circuit. I think everybody loves it. For a spectator's point of view, if you're really there, the Indy circuit is probably slightly better. But from the driver's perspective, Brands Hatch GP is absolutely superb. So we're looking forward to that. So, Jordan, thanks ever so much for answering our questions. It's been really good to find out a little bit more about you, and I know that our viewers will be interested to have heard what you had to say. I'm really giving a platform for drivers who may not have as much experience. They might think about joining the Winter Series when it happens as well. So I'm going to say thanks again. Give our very best regards to your mum and dad and all of the other Newsham Nutters. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the series.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan.